Welcome to today's edition of Daytime Dialogues. It's my pleasure to welcome a friend, Rabbi Reuven Spolter, who's joining us today from Israel. Rabbi Spolter wears a lot of hats, even though at this moment you don't see any of them on his head, but he does wear many of them. He is the Director of English Language Programming at Herzog College, Herzog Global, out of Yeshivat Har Etzion. He is the founder of a fascinating online educational resource known as Kitam. He also has a Mishnah project, and he works on behalf of Tzohar in terms of receiving and doing investigations of people's background to make sure that they're able to be married, the Ishrei Yahadut, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But let's start, Rabbi Spolter, with the simple and the fun things about Herzog Global. Herzog College was started as a small piece associated with Yeshivat Har Etzion, and it has really grown tremendously. What's Herzog Global?
Well, first of all, Rabbi, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on your program. It's a pleasure to be with you and with all of your viewers and listeners, and just to reconnect. It's nice to see you in person and also virtually. Okay, so Herzog College is a teacher's college, one of the largest religious Zionist teachers' colleges in the state of Israel. As you know, like in Israel, if you want to become a teacher, you have to be certified. You have to have a degree. You have to have a bachelor's degree, a bachelor's of education, plus a teaching certificate, and people earn that through Herzog College, which, as you mentioned correctly, was an offshoot 40, 45, 50 years ago of Yeshivat Har Etzion, known otherwise as the Gush. So they began a teachers' institute that became a college. Now Herzog College is a quite a large, full-fledged teachers' college with about 3,500, maybe 4,000 students a year who are studying for various degrees, undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and things of that nature. That's the college. I work in a very small division of Herzog College called Herzog Global, where the leadership of the college said, we are involved in Jewish education, we're passionate about Jewish education, but what about people around the world? There are needs of schools and teachers and institutions around the world that we believe we have the ability to affect and to change and to help. And so slowly but surely, Herzog College first began, actually, most interestingly, the person who's my corresponding, I guess, what would you say? The person who's in charge of the Spanish language division, his name is Shmuel Kornblit. He really began the whole thing because he came to the college and said, schools in Latin America, they have nothing. They need materials, they need teaching, they need help. And they're like, okay, and Shmuel is an amazing person, and he built it, and he's really, I would say, a leading figure in education in Latin America. He's known in schools in Latin American countries really around the world. And then that sort of brought in, they said, okay, what about in English language schools? There are so many schools. I mean, I've heard you're the principal of one, headmaster of one in a major important American city. But there are organizations that help and assist and are involved in creating materials and helping schools teach Judaic studies. But we felt, and we continue to feel, and we see that there's not only an important need to be filled, but an incredible way that we can help and encourage and enhance the idea of the practice and the professionalism of Jewish education around the world. And one of the ways we do that nowadays, mainly, is by creating teacher training courses, online teacher training courses, where teachers can study asynchronously mostly. I don't know if that's this is synchronous, this is Zoom, but we have an incredible technologically advanced and pedagogically advanced staff who work with college instructors to create meaningful learning opportunities and courses for teachers to help Limudei Kodesh, Judaic studies teachers, become better professionals, become better at their trade, and become better teachers in their classroom. And that's one of the things that we do in Herzog Global.
And so you cover all of the English language speaking countries. Is there anything that has been surprising when you entered into this? You didn't expect? You came from 15 years ago, you made Aliyah, you knew the United States, you were in significant schools in the United States as well. Was there something that surprised you when you jumped into this?
I don't know if I'd use the word surprise, because what's really interesting is it's a question of needs, a hierarchy of needs. Excuse me, I'm getting over thing, and someone's going around in Israel. So let's say, for example, when you create teacher training materials for professional teachers in Israel, the system requires teachers to engage in ongoing continuing education. They just have to do it in order for them to increase their salary, in order for them to increase their what they call their darga, their level. So every teacher, no matter what stage they're at in their career, is always taking some kind of professional development. Whereas, as you well know, in the United States, it's all private schools, even in around the world, in England, South Africa, and Australia, it's all private schools. There's no union per se. There's no framework for professional development. So the teachers that we've reached, that we've been able to attract, and thank God we've been able to attract dozens of teachers around the world to take our courses, they're the teachers that are self-motivated. Meaning, no school right now, we want to change this, we'd like to change the culture, but right now, no school is saying you must take this professional development, or we'll give you this salary bump if you take 3 or 4 courses and become a better teacher, or you'll be on a track to, for a promotion. We want to change that. We believe that it's something that's necessary. I mean, if you think about it, every lawyer, every doctor, every IT professional, every single one of them is doing ongoing professional training. They're doing courses, they're learning. And our teachers, unfortunately, most of them, the vast majority of them, are not yet doing professional development and training and becoming better teachers. And as we know, and the feedback I get from our teachers, our students, is if you're learning, you're a better teacher. If you're developing, you're just better at what you do, and you're happier in the classroom. So we'll get there.
Just to correct you on one thing, by the way, and I'm just speaking from Chicago and from Ida Crown, where I'm the dean, the head of school there. In Chicago, in the Orthodox school systems called the Associated Talmud Torahs, for teachers to be part of the pension plan, they have to take a certain amount of professional development programs in advance, and then they have to continue it. Otherwise, there's additional charges that are levied. And at Ida Crown, if teachers continue with their professional development, there are bonuses to salaries that are provided. And I think there are other schools like that as well in the United States. I would hope so. I'm pretty sure there are. But I can imagine that it's still not at the level of what you find in Israel itself. Just very briefly,
I would just say that Ida Crown is a great partner, and we're working together in creating, a course specifically for, as a division of the Tanakh teachers, with your support. So that's, of course, true. It's a unique experience, as you well know, but not one that we've yet seen in many schools around the country, around the world, but we'll get there. We really will get there.
What's the uniqueness of Herzog Global? In other words, when I think of Herzog College, I think of Yeshivat Har Etzion even, Tanakh comes to mind because of going back to the first beginnings with Yoel Ben Nun, and now with Rav Yaakov Meidan. Shlito is the Rosh Hashiva. I think of Tanakh. Is that the primary focus of Herzog?
So I would say this: in Herzog College, absolutely not. Meaning, Herzog College itself is a full-fledged teacher's education college. Tanakh is one of the departments, but there's Torah Sheba'al Peh, and there's teaching science and mathematics and teaching English and history and all of the disciplines that are necessary that teachers need in Israel. In Herzog Global, we began focusing, because Herzog College is known for its unbelievable Tanakh teachers, even the English-speaking ones, your Menachem Liebtag and Yael Ziegler is giving a course, and there's so many other, Yodi Grossman, and there are just very well-known Tanakh experts. So we began our teacher training program by offering what we call a Tanakh teaching certificate. So we do have focused until now specifically on courses for Tanakh teachers, but as you know, we're trying to sort of expand and broaden into more, I would say, general Kodesh pedagogy. So, for example, we have an exciting course coming up in October, given by Rabbi Dr. David Saltzman, who is actually a principal in New York, in Manhattan, and an Ida Crown graduate. He's a graduate of Ida
Chicago, and an Ida Crown graduate, a family actually. His parents are members of Congregation KINS as well. So we're good all around.
Well, very good all around. He's giving a course called Creating a Student-Centered Classroom, which is really in the Limudei Kodesh, which is so important, talking about, understanding your individual students, creating motivation in students, creating passion in students. Not just am I teaching the students, but what are they learning? And how am I creating demonstrable opportunities for them to show success in their classroom? And so that's not Tanakh, that's just how can Limudei Kodesh teachers really be better teachers in their classroom and engage as many students as they possibly can. So we're very excited about not just focusing on Tanakh, but expanding it to other areas of Limudei Kodesh teaching as well.
I want to shift for a moment and jump over to your role in Sohar in trying to investigate and find out people's Jewishness in order for them to be married in the state of Israel. Can you talk a little bit about what you do and why you have to do it?
Okay, this started quite a while ago. So as the way it works, excuse me, the way it works in the state of Israel is when a person wants to get married, they marry through a local rabbanut, right? They don't go to the chief rabbinate. You cannot go to the chief rabbinate in Jerusalem and get married. You go to a local rabbinate, very much like in Chicago. If you want to get married, you go to the local Cook County office and you register to marry in your local municipality. The same thing is true, except of course, in Israel, it's not the municipality, but it's the local rabbinate. Now, one of the rules that the chief rabbinate established maybe 25 years ago is that in order for a person to marry under the auspices of any rabbinate, they have to be halachically Jewish. Just so we can acknowledge this is a matter of tremendous controversy in the state of Israel today, because you have many Israelis who are not halachically Jewish. Tremendous amounts, hundreds of thousands of people of Russian descent who happen to either their mother is not Jewish, or they themselves, their grandparents are Jewish and they're not Jewish. They're Israeli citizens, but legally they cannot marry. So we're going to put that on the side and acknowledge that that's a reality. But we are in Israel, the law is in the framework of the rabbinates. So every local rabbinate, when you go to get married, when my son went to get married in the local, he actually went to Yerushalayim, so he had to apply. They said, okay, we're happy to get you married. How do we know that you're actually halachically Jewish? So there are a number of ways for a person to prove they're Jewish. First thing they could do is they can go to, in Israel, a Beit Din Le'Ishurei Yahadut. There are two special Batei Din, rabbinical courts, who have expertise in deciding whether people are halachically Jewish or not. And they can petition the court and ask for the court to issue a ruling that they're halachically Jewish. That's one thing they can do. On the other hand, they can simply provide documents from their hometown or their home country saying, hey, I was a member of a religious community. I was a member of Kins. My parents were married by Rabbi Matanki. And here's my ketubah. Here's this document proving that I'm a member of the Jewish people. Okay, so that's all fine and good. And every rabbi, every Rasham Nisuim can look at these documents legally and say, I know Rabbi Matanki, I trust Rabbi Matanki, he would only marry two halachic Jews, and therefore that's fine for me, and I'm going to approve your case. So am I clear? Am I being clear? It's complicated. Sometimes you get in the weeds,
No, you're doing great.
Very good. So now Sohar is an organization that was established in Israel right after the murder of Yitzhak Rabin to try to create a sense of connection, to try to reconnect people to their Jewish roots. And they said, every Jew in Israel has to marry in a rabbinate. It can be an opportunity for a Kiddush Hashem, the sanctification of God's name, or a Chilul Hashem. Meaning, is it a positive experience or a negative experience? And we work very hard to make sure that it's a positive spiritual and religious experience. But of course, and there are many elements that go into that. Many, who's the rabbi and what's the experience like and how's the registration and even the bureaucratic aspect. Are people nice or are they curt? These are really, they're not small things. They're really important. And Sohar works really hard. I often say that the unsung heroes in Sohar are what we call the menahalot tik, which are the caseworkers, the people that you actually talk to when you want to get married. Anyway, so one of the things that people have to do, Sohar is not just one rabbanut, it works with a number of rabbanuyot. For example, the rabbanut of Tel Aviv sends many of its weddings through Sohar, are registered through Sohar. The rabbanut of Gush Etzion, the rabbanut of Shoham, where Rabbi Stav is the rabbi. So those rabbanuyot operate through Sohar. So Sohar naturally gets thousands of couples that apply to marry through Sohar each and every year. And of those couples, some not small number some not small number of those applicants come from foreign countries and come from around the world. They weren't born in Israel. They were born in the United States. They were born in Chicago. They were born in Idaho. They too have to supply their documents. So in many cases, what I do for Tzohar mainly is I say, oh, they have a letter from Rabbi Matanki. My job is to say, hey, I know Rabbi Matanki. I know Rabbi Shannon Gelman. I know all these rabbis from Chicago. They are considered reliable Orthodox rabbis. Rabbi, we can accept that letter. That's very simple. And that's the majority of cases that I deal with. But on the other hand, we often have many cases where someone came from Chicago and was not a member of KINS or a member of the Orthodox community. They were a member of the Reform community. And therefore, they don't have documents from an Orthodox source that will help them prove their Jewishness to the satisfaction of the needs according to the requirements of the rabbinate. And that's where we come in. Instead of saying, sorry, can't help you, what Tzohar very much tries to do is to say, those documents are insufficient. Let me help you find the documents you need that are sufficient. Let me help you find what you need in order to make it as pleasant as possible so that you can get married within the state of Israel. And that's essentially what I do. You know, I've developed really incredible contacts around the world. I don't know, every now and then you get a text from me saying, do you know this rabbi? Just so you know, if you're in Chicago, Rabbi Matanki basically knows everyone in Chicago, pretty much all the families in Chicago. So he's an important resource. But over the years, you develop just a list of resources and contacts. You know who knows everyone in every city. And that's tremendously helpful to people. I could just tell you last week, I got a call from a young woman who needed to help prove her Jewishness and she didn't need to get married, but she just needed to get a passport for her child, and she wasn't registered as being Jewish. So I had to help her find the process in order to get the documents that would be sufficient for the rabbinate in order to, just help this young woman in order for her child to be registered as a Jew in Misnad HaPnim in the Ministry of the Interior. So that's what we do.
What was the most let's say the most satisfactory case you can think of? A case which had a lot of interesting twists and turns and made it a detective.
I don't want to go into details, but there are complicated cases where I would say some rabbis are more stringent in the level of evidence or the level of documentation required. Every now and then you will get a case where you know that if I was not involved, these people could not have married in Israel. And so it's just incredibly satisfying to know that because I'm involved, and sometimes they never know it. Sometimes they'll submit a document and have no idea that if they had submitted it to anyone else, anywhere else, that it would have been rejected summarily and they would never have been able to get married. Whereas if you know who to turn to and how to ask questions in the proper way, and I will say also, and there are some rabbinates who are more stringent in these areas, and some that are more open to rabbinic interpretation and to leniency in these areas. Very often, one of the most complicated elements, as you well know, is the issue of conversions. And I'm talking about Orthodox conversions that have happened over the past 50 years. People who are in the know that the Orthodox world underwent, especially the United States, and I'm talking about specifically, underwent just a sea change in the way that conversions were done and managed and overseen. And before that time, there were conversions done by rabbinical courts and rabbis across the United States of every level and every, we'll say all different kinds of conversions. And it raises tremendous complications for people, tremendous difficulties for people. And those are the kind of things that we deal with. Usually, almost always, we're able to help them. When you're not able to help them, it's just very painful. You take it very personally.
And let's move over to the Mishnah Project. Something I don't know a lot about. So tell me, what is the Mishnah Project?
I would show you if I could. But the Mishnah Project is very simple. Everyone has heard of Daf Yomi, right? Do you have Daf Yomi in your shul?
Of course.
Is there a Mishnah Yomi shiur in your shul?
No.
So maybe this will change your mind. Okay, I realize so many people learn Daf Yomi and it's an incredibly wonderful thing. But Daf Yomi is not for everyone. It's just, it's a breakneck pace. It's very hard to keep up. And it's not, Gemara is not really for every person. But most people don't know there's this thing called the Mishnah Yomi, established in 1940 something, I don't remember, like after the Holocaust in memory of the 6 million, just learning 2 Mishnayot a day every single day, you can cover Shas Mishnayot in 5.5 years. And it's just a way in, I don't know, I would say in 10 minutes a day to make meaningful learning a part of your daily routine. And so I got into it. I'm a very technologically oriented person. So I thought the best way of teaching Mishnah was through YouTube videos, like kind of like what we're doing now. Like every Mishnah is a YouTube video, and people can watch me teach the Mishnah with the text of the Mishnah, so they don't need the text of the Mishnah. And one other thing that's amazing is there's so much Torah knowledge and information on the internet. So for example, we're doing the Mishnah yesterday. I taught the Mishnah of the difference between, we're in Megillah, that's where we're up to, the Masechah Megillah, and we're talking about the difference between Shiloh and Yerushalayim. So I can show you on a map where Shiloh is, because the Mishnah says that, it was really fascinating, the Mishnah says that in order that you could eat Kachim Kalim anywhere you could see Shiloh from. But using Google Maps, you can show you the topography of the land and how many places you can see Shiloh from, like, because it's a hilly area, the area, if you know the area of that area of the Shomron, you can see Shiloh from a tremendously far amount of places. So, but just the ability to show those things using video shiurim, that's a tremendous thing. So I started a long time ago, more than 6 years ago. I recorded all of the Mishnayot on YouTube. So I went through Shas in English, and now I upload them. I have a WhatsApp group, and thank God, Baruch Hashem, I'm not up to Rabbi Metanki numbers, but we recently hit 350,000 views of Mishnayot, of Mishnah, and people learn. Now I'm doing it in Hebrew also. I'm trying to build it up in Hebrew. So you can learn. You can join the Mishnah Project. You just go to mishnah.co. And you could join the WhatsApp group, and there's a Telegram group, and I started doing a Spotify podcast. Just the idea, and I do it in the memory of my father, Alav Shalom, who passed away many years ago, the idea of making Mishnah learning part of people's daily lives. It's just, people have told me it's really changed their life. And it's something that everyone can do, men and women, young children. It's really for adults, but it's something that everyone can learn every single day in a very easy, accessible way. That's the Mishnah Project.
Is it something that's taking off in the United States? Are you able to see the demographics of viewers on the YouTube channel?
Most of my viewers are from the United States. I have, I would say, about between 8,000 and 10,000 views a month. Many of them are like going through old Mishnayot or what have you. Truth be told, I think with proper marketing, if somebody is interested in partnering with proper marketing, I think it would really take off. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? You have like everything you have to promote and make people aware. And Be'ezrat Hashem, it's a long-term project to involve people in limud every single day. Making Torah learning a part of your daily life is something that's just a passion of mine. And Baruch Hashem, I do it voluntarily, and people are excited. People who are part of the program, they're part of the WhatsApp group. They're very passionate about it.
And then to move to your fourth hat.
I have a lot of hats.
Kita. Now, as I understand the project of Kita is that basically this is providing educators on a remote basis to be able to help in schools and help individuals. What prompted you to start that?
So what prompted me to start it was COVID. Actually, have you ever heard of Khan Academy? Do you know what Khan Academy is?
Of course.
Right.
Yes, of course.
So that's really what prompted it. What Khan Academy is they call it a digital teaching assistant, meaning like kids learn in different ways today. And as we all know, they also learn a tremendous amount of things on the internet, on YouTube. My son taught himself how to edit videos on YouTube. Our children, they're very comfortable learning by watching somebody teach you something. And that's what Khan Academy is. If you want to learn almost anything, literally from kindergarten through most of college, you could do it for free online with Khan Academy. And I saw it and I said, wow, that's a tremendous thing. Shouldn't it exist for Jewish learning as well? Meaning, you're the principal of a school. You know that there are just kids who learn in different ways. There are kids who are more advanced than the class and kids who are behind in the class. Kids who understand the first time and kids who don't understand the first time. So imagine if we had a tool that taught the material via video. A teacher you learned Shemot Perek Bet in class, but I didn't understand this word, or I want it on a different level, or I want to learn it again. I want something to review. It's not fair to expect teachers to teach things a million times and to be able to really reach every single student. So imagine if you had a tool like Khan Academy, which the teacher could then assign or give to his students or her students, and also including questions and feedback and follow-up to make sure that the student understood that material. So that's essentially what it is. I would call it a poor man's imitation, because I don't have Khan Academy's finances or funding of Khan Academy, teaching Judaic studies through YouTube videos and Google Forms. What I started, COVID came, and I realized when the whole world, remember, you might remember this, went to Zoom, including all of the schools. So there was a mad panic between, if you remember, it was March and June, where everybody was on Zoom. And everyone realized that wasn't going to work, that you can only keep the kids on Zoom for so long. So I started building this thing, hoping that schools would really latch onto it, realizing that they just can't keep the kids in Zoom all the time, giving them another tool. And what really happened at the time was the schools, I can't imagine how you did this, but somehow you opened and you stayed open in pods and plastic and the heroism that the schools had to stay open at the time was mamash unbelievable. But the problem with that was nobody wanted to learn to talk about online tools. They wanted to get away from the computers. They didn't want to get back to the computers. So right now I'm going through a remarketing. I'm gonna revamp it in such a way. I'm very hopeful that schools will understand the power of this tool to help teachers teach their kids, and that they'll be encouraging for their staff to adopt it and to bring it into the classroom, because that's really the idea of what Kita is all about, creating tools for teachers.
What grades are you focusing on?
It focuses on middle school from 5th grade through 8th grade. I have courses in Chumash, which is basically all of Shemot and all of Bamidbar, which is mainly what's taught in the middle school grades. I have Navi, we have Shoftim, Shmuel Aleph, Shmuel Bet, Megillat Ruth. We have Mishnah, which is, I think, Brachot, Sukkah, and Rosh Hashanah. And we're also going to do something on Ezekiel, and also Gemara units and Mesechet, the 4th parak of Brachot, and we're doing the 10th parak of Psachim. So general material that most teachers that are taught in most schools, so that there will be, and the idea is to tell the school, you pay a fee, it's not going to be free. You pay a fee, you basically have a yearly access to the entire library. And so any teacher in your school can use this material in their classroom in any way they see fit. And that's the general idea.
So you're doing a tremendous amount of things in terms of distance learning, from Herzog Global, Kita, the Mishnah Project. All of those are, in that sense, distance learning. Correct. Do you have a chance to actually sit and teach people?
So it's really interesting. Because I developed this material, I realized that there are families around the world that for one reason or another, they're not sending their children to Jewish schools. And then there are many, many reasons. Some are homeschooling. Some kids just don't fit in the framework. Some live in communities where there isn't a Jewish day school. I mean, there are hundreds of families like this around the world. So I actually opened a small homeschool division of Kita. And I teach, I would say, about 15 kids online every week using Kita. They do the lessons and then we meet for a Zoom. So I do teach them virtually. But I also have a Gemara shir that I give on Shabbat. In Yad Binyamin, we learn Gemara Be'iyun. So I actually do interact with actual real people on a daily basis. And if you're ever in Yad Binyamin, you're welcome to join. We have Kiddush, it's a Shabbat morning, we make a nice Kiddush. And then we really do, it's a beautiful group of learning Gemara Be'iyun every week. So
do you believe that in the future, more will be online than in person?
I think that in the future, and it's happening now, and I've heard of schools doing this, a lot of the learning will be done in school online because again, kids are learning that way. Many schools are able to offer so many more things to their students through online learning, and it's going to be a shilub. It's going to be a combination of both. Learn some of the material online, do this module, do this unit, and then let's come together to discuss it. And I think learning, not being afraid of the tools, but learning how to embrace them, but obviously not losing the personal, because as we know, Torah is a Masorah, it's a tradition from teacher to student. It's understanding that the online learning is here to stay. So how do I adopt it? How do I use these tools in a way that's going to make me a better teacher and make my students learn from me in a better way.
Mhm.
That's what I think the future's about.
Rabbi Spolter, believe it or not, our time is up.
Yeah, it flew.
Thank
Wow.
you. It flew for me as well. All of those different hats you're wearing are all successful, and I appreciate all of your efforts. And I look forward to interacting both on the educational side and also whenever you need some information about Chicago. If I have it, I'll be happy to share it as well. Continue to do such amazing things for Klal Yisrael. And a Gemar Chatima Tova, thank you for your time.
Chatima Tova. Thank you so much for having me, and it's great to talk to you.
Great to see you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.